needed to get that. I needed you to be in that space to understand that when God is going to do something that seems to be insurmountable in your life, there's times where you have to go ahead and give him praise for it. Even when you don't know when how it's going to come to pass or which way it's going to go, you still have to give him praise. That's part of the faith that you look at. That's part of the things that you stand with. And that's part of the places that we go. That when he gives you and puts you in a place where there seems to be no way out, understand that there's sometimes he's put you in that place so he can get the glory from where you are, because he had to put you there for you to understand who he was and who he is and who he shall be in your life. And then not only that, but he does it so that when others see that it was him, that there was no other way it could be done, but because of him, that you got the glory, because of him, that there's things that you get past, because of him, he gets the glory out of your situation. And that is sometimes why we are where we are and how he puts us in the places that he can show himself worthy and show himself mighty in our situation. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the lesson today. I needed to do that. And that was kind of where God had me this morning, in that place of you would need to give him praise before these things go on, because sometimes you're in the midst of it, as the Israelites were. And you look back and he's like, I don't know how I'm going to make it. Was better if I go back to when I was in bondage than to be free from what I'm in right now. There's times in your life where you're there. And when you're there, you're like, I don't know which way we're going to go, God. I don't know how we're going to do this. But Lord, if you do it, I can do nothing but give you praise. I can do nothing but give you glory. I can do nothing but give you the honor. All right, so let's set this up. Let's go ahead and get a little bit of understanding of where we are. We are at the place now that Moses has already been back to Egypt. He's already been there, and he's already been through the 10 plagues. He's already done all those things, so that we understand that right now, Israel is outside of Egypt and in the place of walking away. They've come through one thing that they cried out for. They had cried out for deliverance. They had cried out to God and said, God, we need a way out. We've been here for too long. We've been here over 400 years, and we've gone through more than we can actually bear. But God, if we've gone through this much, please bring us out. Please take us through. Please give us a way of escape from the place that we're in. They're now in this place where they've already come through the 10 plagues. They've already come through all those things that have gone on. And they're saying, all right, here we are. We're outside of our first confinement. We're outside of that. We have been now released from our confinement. We've been released from our slavery. We've been released from all of those things. And as we've been released, we're now in the process of going toward the promised land that you said we were going to have. We're in the process of going in that direction. Now, as they were going in that direction and going in that process is when they begin to see that, okay, we're out here, we're going. But they start to hear the rumblings of those coming behind them. They start to hear the rumbling of the army coming. They start to hear this rumbling going on. Yes, I'm messing with my laptop right now because I have to get this. Y'all know how I am. I like to go through the book. I like to go through line by line. I like to go by the scripture of what we have gotten in here. And so what it is that they begin to hear the army coming. They begin to hear the chariots, and they hear the horses. They hear them coming behind them. And when they hear them, they begin to look up. So let's go into verse chapter 14, Exodus chapter 14, verse 10. And it says, and when Pharaoh drew nigh, the children of Israel lifted up their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians marched after them, and they were sore afraid. And the children of Israel cried out unto the Lord. They had already come out. They had already been set free. But as they were set free, they looked back and saw their captivity coming again. Understand, they seen it coming again. They were afraid of the captivity of going back to what they came out of. A lot of times God will deliver us out of a situation that we've gone through, and we'll have that prayer of, God, if you bring me out, I won't go back. If you bring me out, I'll do right by you. If you bring me out, I'm in the place where I can't go any further. And I know if the room is spinning, but if you bring me out of this, I won't do it again. But as you say that, your friends are like Pharaoh. Your friends that you were with when you went through the situation are trying to bring you back in. The friends that you were a part of, or sometimes the job you were a part of, that you've asked for forgiveness for or asked for deliverance from, you've gotten yourself out of it. But as you're in the interim, in between the deliverance and getting to the promise, you start to see the remnants of what you came out of coming behind you. You begin to see the remnants of that. And as you begin to see the remnants of that, the first thing you do, which is the best thing to do, is you cry out to the Lord and say, God, I need you to come do it again. Not only God, I need you to come do it again, but God, I need you to keep me while I'm here. They cried out to the Lord because they were like, we have just got out of this, but we still have them coming back to try to take us back to what we were delivered from. Taking us back. We don't want to go back to where we were. In fact, we know when you first read about this, when we were, one of the companion scriptures is Exodus chapter 5, verse 15 through 6:1, where they were talking about how when Moses was coming to speak for them to get released, that then their taskmaster Pharaoh told them that they had to do more with less. They still had to make straw bricks, but then they said, take away the straw from them so they could, but they still got to give out with the same quota. So they made the task even harder. So when they were released, they don't want to go back because they know if I go back from what we see, it's going to be even worse than what we had before. In the New Testament, it says that once you have kicked out the strong man and you have swept to your place and clean, but while he's out trying to find somewhere else to go, he comes back and he finds your household swept clean and also opened up again because you did not fill it with something else to go ahead and make sure that there was not room and abode for that spirit to come back. Since you did not fill it, that spirit, when it comes back, it says it comes back and finds that placement wide open and also cleaned. And what it does, it brings 7 with demons far worse than it was with him when they come back to you. With the Israelites seeing Pharaoh coming behind them, they were like, we do not need to go back because it's going to be far worse if we go back to this situation that we were out of. So they cried unto the Lord. Verse 11, and they said unto Moses, because there was no graves in Egypt, hast thou taken us away to die in the wilderness? Wherefore hast thou dealt thus with us to carry us forth out of Egypt? Isn't that just like how you are? When God brings you out of something and then you got to go through a little bit of a struggle, the first thing you want to say is, God, you could have left me there. I was doing okay. I was doing all right. You brought me out now, and it seems like I'm going to be worse out here than I was if I'd have stayed in my situation. You brought me out, but I'm going through a struggle right now. So that means that if I'm going through the struggle, I don't look at what I came out of. I'm like, you could have left me there because now the struggle outside of it is worse than the struggle I had inside of it. The Israelites were even in this place where they were saying this to Moses, even as a chiding sarcasm, saying, you could have left us there. What, was there was no graves there that we couldn't die in Egypt, but you had to bring us out so we can die in the wilderness where we got to build our own grave? Is there a reason why we out here and it's going to be worse out here than if we'd have stayed in Egypt? Think about that. Or as the song will say, Selah. Think on this. Verse 12. Is not this the word that we did tell thee in Egypt, saying, let us alone that we may serve the Egyptians? For it had been better for us to serve the Egyptians than that we should die in the wilderness. Have you ever thought that once you got delivered and you go through a struggle, that it was better to go back to what you were delivered from? Hmm? The Israel's like, didn't we tell you this before you brought us out? Now, mind you, they prayed about getting delivered, but now after they are delivered and they have a little bit of struggle and a little bit of problem, they're saying, well, you should have left us. Would we have been better there? James talks about a man who has a man who is unstable in all his ways, who actually does not have a sound mind. His mind wavers back and forth. And if he's wavering back and forth and he's unstable as water, he does not do well. This is the same thing that Israel's like. They're wavering back and forth. You know what? We want to be delivered, but now that we're out here and we see them coming back, why did you take us out of there? We could have been better if we'd have stayed there. Have you ever confronted yourself? Like I said, notice I said yourself, not God. Have you ever confronted yourself when you were brought out and you start to go through a struggle and it seemed like it's worse since you've been out? And you say, God, you could have left me there even though I asked to get out. That could be in your relationships. That could be in your financial situations with your job. You got out of a job where you knew that they were not treating you well. You knew they were not paying you well. You knew that they were not doing what's best for you. And you prayed and asked God to let you out, and he gets you out. But in the interim, between the time of you getting the new job and you being let go of the one, that you are now getting to the place where your finances are dwindling, and you're saying, well, Lord, you know what? I could have stayed. Because now the struggle is, I don't know how I'm going to take care of the next thing. I could have stayed. You're in a relationship that's an abusive relationship, or a relationship that does not do well for you, that does not see the goodness in you, that does not see who you are. And then you are asking and praying God to let you out of the relationship. And then when you're out of the relationship and he brings you out, and then between that time and you get into a relationship with him or to the next relationship, that you come into a place of loneliness by yourself. And you say, well, Lord, it would have been okay if I stayed with the person, even though I knew that they did not look at me well. They did not honor me well. They did not take care of me, or they did not go ahead and look at me as somebody who was going to be a blessing. But I could have went back, because right now this loneliness is worse than if I would have been in a relationship. That's where Israel is right now. They're in a place of saying, Moses, it would have been better if you would have left us there. Didn't we say to you, it would have been better if you would have left us there? We could still serve Egypt. Because we were comfortable there, even though we knew we were in process of time that we were not being done well with, we were not being taken care of, but we were comfortable there. Sometimes your comfortability can get you into a place that you will not want to get moved or get to what God has in store for you, because you're too comfortable in your mess. I'm going to leave that there, and I'm going to go into the next verse. Verse 13, and Moses said unto the people, fear ye not, stand still and see the salvation or the deliverance of the Lord, which he will show you today. Not tomorrow, not next week, not the week after. He's going to show you this salvation today. You're in the midst of your situation. He said, I'm going to show you your deliverance today. Not only am I going to show you your deliverance today, I'm going to make it so that, as the second half of verse 13 says, for the Egyptians whom you have seen today, ye shall see them again no more forever. He's telling them, I'm going to give you this salvation or this deliverance today. And what it is that you are going back to, or the problem or the situation or whatever is trying to drag you back, you will see that no more. I want you to understand this, that is one of those that Moses is telling them, what you are being bound by, after you see and stand still and see the glory of God, you shall not see the bondage that you were in ever again. That bondage is no longer yours. It has now been taken care of, and you shall see it no more. You shall not come nigh to it again. It shall not come nigh to you again. At this point in time, Moses tells them that you shall get your deliverance today, that who is chasing you you shall not see anymore, because the deliverance is going to be that powerful that God is going to do it so you will never see what the conditions or the confinement again. Again. He said, you shall see them again no more forever. First off, he said, you shall see them no more, which already means you're not going to see them again. That's already over. But then he says, not only no more, but no more forever. It's kind of implying that it's going to be even greater than your thought process. Because first I was going to say, you're not going to see them no more. Then he said, not only see no more, but see no more forever. As long as your days are on this earth, you will not see them no more forever. Verse 14, the Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. The Bible says, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Stand still and see the glory of the Lord. In this one, Moses is telling him, said the Lord shall fight for you, and you shall hold your peace. In other words, you shall be quiet and let him do what he does. You shall go ahead and stand back and hold your peace and look at what he's going to do. And not only just look at it, but you're going to stand there. But when he says hold your peace, not only does it mean to hold and be quiet, but it means hold and stand fast with the faith that you have, that who you have already seen him bring forth all the plagues and bring you out of. He's still able to do more than what you can ever see. Hold your peace. And peace there, we talk about peace always being that most people say peace means that there's no other problem. No, peace can actually be a settling in your body and a settle in your spirit, that knowing what's going on, even though what I see is one thing, what I know is different. And what I know settles me in peace of what I don't see. Moses is telling them, you shall see the salvation of God from what he's going to fight for you, and you hold your peace. Not only just hold your peace, but you now settle in that he's going to do it for you. Settle in it. Sit in it. Stand fast in that peace that he's going to do it for you. Verse 15, and the Lord said unto Moses, wherefore criest thou unto me? Speaking to the children of Israel that they go forward. Moses, being the leader that he was, after he told them, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Stand still and see what he's going to do. He shall fight for you. He went to God and said, hold on, Lord, I'm at the same place they are. What do I need to do? In that verse 15, it shows you that the leader himself, as they cried out, he cried out. He stood on business by saying he's going to stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. But he also was like, Lord, I need you to show me what I need to do for them. This is why we tell you to pray for the pastors and pray for them who are actually leading you in the church, because sometimes you're going through things and they have to pray and say, God, how can I help them? How can I bring them out? How can I speak to them so that they will understand that you are still God? So when the Lord said unto Moses, why are you crying to me? I tell you what, tell him to go forward. Verse 16, but lift thou thy rod and stretch out thine hand over the sea and divide it. And the children of Israel shall go over on dry ground through the midst of the sea. In prayer, he asked and was asking God, what do I have to do? And God said, now I told you that you ought to tell them to go forward. As long as you tell them to go forward, I will continue to move in the way you need to move. I've given you everything you need. When you went to Egypt, I gave you the rod. When you went to Egypt, I gave you the words. When you went to Egypt, I gave you a mouthpiece and your brother. When you went to Egypt, I gave you everything you needed. All you need to do is stand with me. As you stand with me, I will always direct you on where you ought to go. So right now, you have the rod, lift it up above in front of the sea. And as you do that, I'm going to divide the sea because you have to use what I gave you so that you can get deliverance of what they need. I gave you everything that you needed. I've already showed it to you. Now you just need to use it by my anointing. I anointed it when I gave it to you. Now I'm going to anoint it to do what I need you to do. And I know when Moses heard him say, I will divide the sea and you will walk over it on dry ground. He had seen miracles already. He had seen what was going on. He had seen what God had did with the plagues. He had seen all those things. So you know when he said, just lift it up and you're gonna divide the sea. His response was, okay, I've seen what you did before. So since I've seen what you did before, it seems outlandish. It seems crazy to my own mental mindset of my own. But because you said it and what I know who you are, I'm going to lift it up. I'm going to tell them to go forward and I'm going to lift it up. I'm going to follow the direction that you gave me. Verse 17, and I, behold, I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians and they shall follow them and I will get me honor upon Pharaoh and upon all his hosts, upon his chariots and upon his horsemen. Harden, he says, I will harden his heart. I need you to understand that God sometimes will put people in position against you so he can show himself glory through you. Notice in this, it says that he said, I will harden his heart. I will harden the heart of Pharaoh so that he follows you in. I will harden his heart so that he, even though he knows he can't get you anymore, he's still going to try to follow you. There are times in your situations where try to understand why people who've seen God work in you still want to come at you with that bad attitude, still want to come at you with a hateful set, still want to come at you in a place where they're like, we're going to still try to tear you down, even though God has been telling you and showing through you that no matter what they put on you, he's going to bring you out. Sometimes he's hardened their heart so he can show himself worthy through you. When he says, I will get me honor upon Pharaoh. In other words, I will get glory through what I'm taking him through. Not only glory for right now, but glory for whoever hears this process. Glory for all those who need to understand that I am that I am. I am the God who's able to do all things. I am that I am who I told you who I was when I sent you is still the one who's going to be there when you leave from where you were. I'm still I am that I am. I need everyone to understand that when I come to bless you, I bless you in spite of everything else. I deliver you in spite of everything else. In spite of what's coming in front of you and what's beside you, what's behind you, I am still that God. He said, I will get glory or honor upon Pharaoh and upon all his host, upon his chariots and upon his horsemen. I was just watching something. One of my daughters had sent me on TikTok, on the TikTok, and it was talking about how they were going through the Red Sea and finding now at the bottom of the Red Sea chariot wheels, finding axles and chariot axles in the bottom of the Red Sea, showing that this story was not just a story, but it was true. They're finding it out when they're looking at it, and they're seeing that there's emblems on it that were Egyptian emblems that are on those chariot wheels that are in the bottom of the Red Sea. Axles that still had wheels attached to them down there at the bottom of the Red Sea. So when this did happen, God got the glory of it, but there's now evidence. So they can't say, well, this is just a wild story. No. It was something that happened. So that God would be able to get the glory. Verse 18, and the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord, and when I have gotten me honor upon Pharaoh, upon his chariots, and upon his horsemen. If he's going to repeat it from 17 to 18, it means that it has great significance in what he's going to do. His honor or his glory is going to go ahead and be not just for now, not just on Pharaoh, but as we've seen in Joshua, it was on all those who was in the promised land. When Rahab said that we know who you are, we've heard of the things that y'all have done. In fact, we had great fear because we heard that the Red Sea was divided and y'all walked across on dry land. We understand that the God that you have and the God that you serve is a terrible God. He will do what is needed for you in spite of your enemies. In fact, in that Rahab said that we actually cower because of what we know that your God can do. So when we heard that y'all were coming and the spies were coming, I'm gonna take care of you as long as when you come back, save me. Yeah, when you come back, because I know you're coming back. When you take over, just make sure that you save me and my family. I'm gonna hide you and take care of you so that when you come back to destroy, make sure that I am in the grace of God. So when him saying it in 17 and 18 that I will get my honor upon Pharaoh and upon his horses and upon his chariots, he says it in both 17 and 18 means that he's repeating it, which means that it has great significance of what is going to happen unto them. Verse 19, and the angel of God, which went before the camp of Israel, removed and went behind them, and the pillar of the cloud went from before their face and stood behind them. God was leading them. He says, now I need to go behind you so I can protect you. Understand this, he led them to the place. After he led them to where he needed to lead them, he said, now let me protect you until I make sure my glory shall come to pass. Let me now protect you from what I'm leading you through. In order for that to happen, I put a cloud behind you so to protect you from those who are trying to get to you. For every spirit that's not like you, that I put a protection behind you so that it cannot get to you. Not only it can't get to you, but it can't see you. Understand the cloud was darkness that he put behind Israel, between Israel and Egypt, so that Egypt couldn't see them until it was time for them to go through the water. He pretty much said, I was leading you out. Now that I've led you out and I've gotten you to the place that I needed you to be. That's right. I needed you to be here when you looked at it and there was no other place for you to go. I needed this to be here where it looks like it's an insurmountable odds to you. So I can show you who I truly am. I needed to lead you to this place where there looks like there's no way out of. And when you turn back, there's nowhere to go, because when I go back, it's going to be worse than where I was at beforehand. I got to lead you here. So now while I'm in the process of working on the miracle for you to go to, I need to set myself behind you so I can give protection so that nobody else can get to you while I'm setting up your miracle. It's like when they said you ought to praise him in the hallway. You've got one door shut behind you and you have a door shut in front of you. But he says, continue to praise me in the hallway, because once I open the door, you should come in with full go. Once I open the door, your blessing shall overtake you when the door is open. And I'm almost through with this. I can't be here too much longer. I do have to get back to. I got to get to the church and teach children's church today, so I can't be here too long. Verse 20. And it came between the camp and the Egyptians and the camp of Israel, and it was a cloud and darkness to them. But it gave light by night to these, so that the one came not near the other all the night. All the night. Let me go to verse 21. And Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the Lord caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night, and made the sea dry land, and the waters were divided. Understand, he said, all the night. He sent this east wind, which tells you that this had to be a great sea. It said the wind went all night. It was a strong wind that went all night long. That when it became day, then it was divided. But this wind went all night long. All night. All throughout the darkness. That means that Moses had his hand raised for a long time. While he had his hands raised and he's throwing this east wind so that it's making it divide, that means that there had to have been those who were beside him, holding him up in this process, because all night long, that's going to be at least 6 to 8 hours that you standing there with your hands raised while he's blowing this east wind to divide this sea. Now, you understand that when he said divide the sea, but he also said they walked on dry ground. This wind had to be strong enough that when it divided the sea, it took even the moisture out of the bed of that sea so that it was all dry when they walked past. This wind had to be strong enough that it moved all water, all molecules of water. Because it says they walked on dry ground. That means it was not anything soggy. It was not anything that was like a mud that they were tipping and going down in. It said it was dry ground. This wind blew all night to put the waves and put the sea up and divided it into a place where you can look in and see anything, see all the animals, see everything, see all the fish and everything floating and swimming in it. But also on that, you're standing on dry ground and walking on dry ground. That in itself is a miracle of a natural effect that nobody can actually say you do. When you ever think about a riverbed that dries up, when it dries up, it does not come all the way dry. It still has wetness until it dries fully up and it becomes dry, cracked land. This doesn't say it wasn't even cracked. This said it was just dry land for them to walk. When ground is so desperate that it's dry, it cracks because there's nothing in moisture-wise to keep it. But God said in the word that it said that they had dry ground to walk on, with the sea split and divided. It had to be enough room for that over 2 million Egyptians to, not 2 million Egyptians, over 2 million Israelites to go across. It had to be wide enough for them to go across and get through. And if it's that wide, it's still, and to be dry, that shows you that he not just gave that wind enough to move the water, but he gave that wind enough to dry out everything that was on the top of that topsoil that they could walk through on dry ground. The significance of the mindset of that miracle already takes you to a place where He's showing you that when you can't even understand how I did it, I'm going to do it. Israel now stands on top of that and walks through. Walk through seeing the glory of God on both sides. But as they see that, they also looking at the glory that it is that they're walking through on dry ground. Just to think about that. Verse 23, verse 22. And the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea upon the dry ground, and the waters were a wall unto them on their right hand and on their left. When you're walking through, this is your miracle. You can see the blessings on both sides. You can see the blessing that you're walking through. When you look back, you see what you left. And when you look forward, you see where you're headed. And as you're going through, you're looking on both sides to see that God's hand is upon you and protecting you as you go. See, the next part of this shows that Pharaoh was so hard-hearted that they begin to come follow Israel into the dry ground on the sea. And it says that the book says once they got out and Moses began to bring his arms down, that then the sea began to come back through and begin to flood the area they were in. In other words, it's just like what he did back in the beginning of Genesis, when he says that he made land and sea. He gave boundaries to the sea so that those boundaries, the water could only come so far and had to go back. But when Noah went into the ark, he released those boundaries so that the water could now come all upon the earth and flood the whole earth. And then when it was time, he receded it back and put the boundaries back in place. He's divided now the Red Sea and put a boundary there so that they could walk through on dry ground. Now that Israel all the way is through the boundary and through the spot, that he now releases the boundary again. And as he releases the boundary, it then comes and fills up and takes out all of Pharaoh and also his army. This parting of the Red Sea was done so that God can get the glory for who he is and set in motion those things that are coming to pass after Israel has come through. He's setting it up so that they will understand that whoever comes against them know that they're not just fighting Israel, but they're fighting the God that they serve. He had to get it to the place where they understood that this miracle shows that I own the natural occurrences of things. Not only did I put it in motion, but I can move it when I see. I can move it when I want to. I can change the molecular structure of this nature because I created it in the first place. It's the same as when we seen that it said that the disciples were on the boat on the sea, and as they were going, and when it became midnight, actually it was 3 a.m, they said were still rowing, and they start to see a figure walking on the water. It's the same way that God changed the molecular structure of the water so he could walk on it, so he could come to them. He changed the molecular structure of the dry ground so that when he moved the water, it became dry for them to walk on. Tell me we don't serve a God that's mighty and miraculous all at the same time. That is the lesson about him parting the Red Sea. That there is one place that he shows you, I can be God when you're in an insurmountable odds. I bring you to those places so you can understand who I am for you and who I am through you. You come and cry out to me believing in faith that I'm going to bring you out and I'm going to bring you out. It's not always going to be as miraculous as this. But when I say I'm bringing you out, trust and believe that I'm bringing you out. And I'm through. I'm through.
Amen. I knew you was going to deliver. I trust God that you're going to